Welcome to ExHub MCQs. Get ready to master our environment with 100 expert-crafted MCQs. Let's learn, grow, and succeed together. MQ1. What are the two main components of an ecosystem? Option A, biotic and abiotic. Option B, producers and decomposers. Option C, carnivores and herbivores. Option D, energy and nutrients. The correct answer is option A, biotic and abiotic. Explanation. An ecosystem consists of biotic components, living organisms, and abiotic components, non-living factors like air, soil, and water. These components interact to maintain balance in nature. MCQ. What is the role of decomposers in an ecosystem? Option A, produce food. Option B, break down dead organisms. Option C, consume producers. Option D, transfer energy to producers. The correct answer is option B, break down dead organisms. Explanation. Decomposers, like bacteria and fungi, break down complex organic substances into simpler ones, recycling nutrients back into the soil, which supports plant growth. MC3. What is a trophic level? Option A, a position in a food chain. Option B, a type of decomposer. Option C, a category of producers. Option D, an ecosystem's energy flow. The correct answer is option A, a position in a food chain. Explanation. A trophic level represents the position an organism occupies in a food chain, such as producers at the first level, herbivores at the second, and carnivores at higher levels. MC4. Which organisms occupy the first trophic level in a food chain? Option A, carnivores. Option B, herbivores. Option C, producers. Option D, decomposers. The correct answer is option C, producers. Explanation. Producers, like green plants, occupy the first trophic level by converting solar energy into chemical energy through photosynthesis, forming the base of the food chain. MCQ5. Why are food chains typically limited to 3 to 4 trophic levels? Option A, energy is lost at each level. Option B, producers dominate ecosystems. Option C, consumers cannot multiply. Option D, decomposers break the chain. The correct answer is option A, energy is lost at each level. Explanation. Energy is lost as heat at each trophic level during metabolic activities, leaving insufficient energy for higher levels, thus limiting the chain to 3-4 levels. MCQ6. What happens to non-biodegradable substances in the environment? Option A, they are broken down by bacteria. Option B, they persist and may cause harm. Option C, they are converted into nutrients. Option D, they disappear over time. The correct answer is option B, they persist and may cause harm. Explanation. Non-biodegradable substances, such as plastics, persist in the environment for decades, polluting soil, water, and air, and causing harm to wildlife and ecosystems. 7. What is biological magnification? Option A, reduction of harmful chemicals. Option B, accumulation of harmful chemicals. Option C, decrease in energy transfer. Option D, decline in the food web's length. The correct answer is option B, accumulation of harmful chemicals. Explanation. Biological magnification is the buildup of harmful chemicals such as pesticides at higher trophic levels in a food chain, affecting top consumers like humans. MC8. What percentage of solar energy is captured by green plants in a terrestrial ecosystem? Option A, 1%, 10%. Option C, 50%. Option D, 90%. The correct answer is option A, 1%. Explanation. Green plants capture about 1% of the sunlight that falls on them, converting it into chemical energy during photosynthesis. This energy supports all trophic levels in the ecosystem. MCQ 9. Which of the following is a human-made artificial ecosystem? Option A, forest. Option B, pond. Option C, garden. Option D, lake. The correct answer is option C, garden. Explanation. Artificial ecosystems, such as gardens and aquariums, are designed and maintained by humans, unlike natural ecosystems like forests and ponds. 10. Why is ozone depletion a cause for concern? Option A, leads to increased oxygen levels. Option B, allows harmful UV radiation to enter. Option C, reduces global temperature. Option D, causes more rainfall. The correct answer is option B, allows harmful UV radiation to enter. Explanation. Ozone depletion allows harmful ultraviolet radiation from the sun to reach the Earth's surface, causing skin cancer, cataracts, and environmental damage. MCQ 11. What is the average energy transferred from one trophic level to the next? Option A, 10%. Option C, 25%. Option D, 50%. The correct answer is option B, 10%. Explanation. On average, only 10% of the energy at one trophic level is transferred to the next, while the rest is lost as heat during metabolic processes like respiration and movement. MCQ 12. What happens to waste like plastics in the environment? Option A, quickly decomposed. Option B, slowly broken down by enzymes. Option C, persist for long periods. Option D, turn into fertilizer. The correct answer is option C, persist for long periods. Explanation. Plastics are non-biodegradable materials that persist in the environment for decades, causing pollution and harming ecosystems as they cannot naturally decompose. MCQ 13. Which of the following is an example of biological magnification? Option A, accumulation of mercury in fish. Option B, reduction of oxygen in ponds. Option C, increased crop yields. Option D, decrease in forest cover. The correct answer is option A, accumulation of mercury in fish. Explanation. Biological magnification refers to the accumulation of harmful chemicals like mercury or pesticides at higher trophic levels in a food chain, affecting organisms like fish and humans. MCQ 14. What is the role of producers in the flow of energy in an ecosystem? Option A, consume herbivores. Option B, capture sunlight to produce food. Option C, decompose organic matter. Option D, transfer energy to decomposers. The correct answer is option B, capture sunlight to produce food. Explanation. Producers such as plants capture sunlight and convert it into chemical energy during photosynthesis, forming the energy source for all other trophic levels. MCQ 15. Why do we not clean ponds and lakes as often as aquariums? Option A, ponds have no decomposers. Option B, ponds are natural self-sustaining ecosystems. Option C, aquariums do not require cleaning. Option D, ponds accumulate energy. The correct answer is option B, ponds are natural self-sustaining ecosystems. Explanation. Natural ecosystems like ponds are self-sustaining, with decomposers recycling nutrients, whereas aquariums require maintenance for balance. MC 16. What is the major cause of ozone layer depletion? Option A, global warming. Option B, use of chlorofluorocarbons. Option C, excessive rainfall. Option D, overpopulation. The correct answer is option B, use of chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs. Explanation. CFCs, synthetic chemicals used in refrigerants and aerosols, release chlorine into the atmosphere, which breaks down ozone molecules, depleting the ozone layer. MC 17. What happens if decomposers are removed from an ecosystem? Option A, energy flow increases. Option B, dead matter accumulates. Option C, producers multiply rapidly. Option D, herbivores decrease. The correct answer is option B, dead matter accumulates. Explanation. Decomposers break down dead plants and animals. Without them, organic matter would accumulate, disrupting nutrient cycling and ecosystem balance. MC 18. How do harmful chemicals enter food chains? Producers? Option B, from sunlight. Option C, from decomposers. From consumers. The correct answer is option A, through producers. Explanation. Harmful chemicals like pesticides enter food chains when producers, such as plants, absorb them from polluted soil or water, passing them to higher trophic levels. Why are food webs more realistic than food chains? Option A, they include decomposers. Option B, they show complex feeding relationships. Option C, they focus only on carnivores. Option D, they include abiotic components. The correct answer is option B. They show complex feeding relationships. Explanation. Food webs represent the interconnected feeding relationships in an ecosystem, unlike food chains, which show a linear pathway of energy transfer. 20. What material is often used as a more eco-friendly alternative to disposable plastic cups? Option A, steel. Option B, glass. Option C, paper. Option D, clay. The correct answer is option C, paper. Explanation. Paper cups are biodegradable and considered an eco-friendly alternative to plastic cups, which are non-biodegradable and persist in the environment, causing pollution. M21. What is an artificial ecosystem? Option A, forest. Option B, pond. Option C, garden. Option D, grassland. The correct answer is option C, garden. Explanation. Artificial ecosystems like gardens are created and maintained by humans, allowing interaction between plants, animals, and abiotic components under controlled conditions. M22. What is the primary function of the ozone layer? Option A, provide oxygen. Option B, absorb ultraviolet UV radiation. Option C, trap heat. Option D, increase rainfall. The correct answer is option B, absorb ultraviolet UV radiation. Explanation. The ozone layer absorbs harmful UV radiation from the sun, protecting life on Earth from its damaging effects, such as skin cancer and environmental harm. MC23. Which process converts solar energy into chemical energy? Option A, photosynthesis. Option B, respiration. Option C, decomposition. Option D, transpiration. The correct answer is option A, photosynthesis. Explanation. Photosynthesis is the process where green plants use sunlight to convert carbon dioxide and water into glucose, storing energy in chemical form. What are examples of biodegradable substances? Option A, plastic, glass. Option B, metal, coal. Option C, vegetable peels, paper. Option D, synthetic fibers. The correct answer is option C, vegetable peels, paper. Explanation. Biodegradable substances like vegetable peels and paper are decomposed by microorganisms, returning nutrients to the soil, unlike plastics or metals. MC25. What happens if all the organisms in one trophic level are removed? Option A, ecosystem balance remains stable. Ecosystem collapses. Option C, decomposers take over completely. Option D, energy transfer improves. The correct answer is option B, ecosystem collapses. Explanation. Removing organisms from one trophic level disrupts energy flow in food webs, leading to potential collapse of the ecosystem. MC26. Why do food chains rarely have more than 4 trophic levels? Option A, lack of decomposers. Loss of energy at each level. Option C, herbivores dominate. Option D, carnivores are fewer. The correct answer is option B, loss of energy at each level. Explanation. Energy is lost as heat at each trophic level, leaving insufficient energy to support organisms at higher levels, limiting food chain length. MCQ 27. What type of pollution occurs due to improper waste disposal? Option A, air pollution. Option B, water pollution. Soil pollution. Option D, all of the above. The correct answer is option D, all of the above. Explanation. Improper waste disposal leads to air, water, and soil pollution, harming ecosystems and human health through contamination and degradation. MCQ 28. How does the use of CFCs impact the ozone layer? Option A, repairs it. Option B, depletes it. Option C, makes it thicker. Option D, has no impact. The correct answer is option B, depletes it. Explanation: chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs, release chlorine atoms that react with ozone molecules, depleting the ozone layer and increasing UV radiation exposure. MC 29. Which of the following is a characteristic of non-biodegradable substances? Option A, quickly decomposes. Option B, does not decompose. Option C, becomes nutrient-rich. Option D, recycled naturally. The correct answer is option B, does not decompose. Explanation: non-biodegradable substances, like plastics, persist in the environment for years, causing pollution as they do not break down naturally. MCQ 30. What is the energy flow in an ecosystem described as? Option A, multidirectional. Option B, circular. Option C, reversible. Option D, unidirectional. The correct answer is option D, unidirectional. Explanation: the energy flow in an ecosystem is unidirectional, moving from producers to consumers and decomposers, with energy lost as heat at each level. MCQ 31. What happens to energy that is not transferred to the next trophic level? Option A, it is stored as biomass. Option B, it is lost as heat. Option C, it is converted into oxygen. Option D, it is recycled back to producers. The correct answer is option B, it is lost as heat. Explanation: energy not transferred to the next trophic level is lost as heat during metabolic activities such as movement, respiration, and reproduction, reducing energy availability. MCQ 32. Which group of organisms can produce food using sunlight? Option A, herbivores. Option B, producers. Option C, carnivores. Option D, decomposers. The correct answer is option B, producers. Explanation: producers, like green plants and algae, use sunlight to produce food through photosynthesis, forming the energy base for ecosystems. What is the main concern with biological magnification? Option A, it reduces energy flow. Option B, it increases harmful chemicals. Option C, it benefits decomposers. Option D, it reduces producer efficiency. The correct answer is option B, it increases harmful chemicals. Explanation: biological magnification causes harmful chemicals, like pesticides, to accumulate at higher trophic levels in the food chain, affecting top consumers like humans. MCQ 34. Which of the following is considered a natural ecosystem? Option A, cropland. Option B, aquarium. Option C, forest. Option D, garden. The correct answer is option C, forest. Explanation: forests are natural ecosystems that sustain themselves without human intervention, unlike artificial ecosystems like aquariums and gardens. MC 35. What would happen if decomposers did not exist in an ecosystem? Option A, organic matter would accumulate. Option B, producers would thrive. Option C, energy flow would stop. Option D, herbivores would increase. The correct answer is option A, organic matter would accumulate. Explanation: decomposers recycle nutrients by breaking down dead organisms. Without them, organic matter would accumulate, disrupting nutrient cycling and ecological balance. MC 36. How do producers contribute to energy flow in an ecosystem? Option A, transfer energy to decomposers. Option B, capture and store solar energy. Option C, consume energy from herbivores. Option D, decompose dead matter. The correct answer is option B, capture and store solar energy. Explanation: producers such as plants capture and store solar energy through photosynthesis, creating chemical energy that supports consumers in the ecosystem. 37. Which of these is a biodegradable substance? Option A, plastic. Option B, glass. Option C, vegetable peels. Option D, metal. The correct answer is option C, vegetable peels. Explanation: biodegradable substances like vegetable peels decompose naturally through microorganisms, unlike non-biodegradable materials like plastics and metals. EMS 38. What is a key reason for the limited length of food chains? Option A, lack of producers. Option B, loss of energy at each level. Option C, too many decomposers. Option D, excessive biomass. The correct answer is option B, loss of energy at each level. Explanation: energy loss at each trophic level limits the length of food chains, as insufficient energy remains to sustain organisms at higher levels. MCQ 39. Why is ozone depletion harmful to humans? Option A, increases oxygen levels. Option B, exposes us to harmful UV rays. Option C, leads to higher rainfall. Option D, makes the air colder. The correct answer is option B, exposes us to harmful UV rays. Explanation: ozone depletion allows harmful ultraviolet rays to reach Earth, causing health issues like skin cancer and cataracts and damaging ecosystems. MCQ 40. How do non-biodegradable substances affect the environment? Option A, enhance nutrient recycling. Option B, persist and pollute ecosystems. Option C, break down into useful chemicals. Option D, increase biodiversity. The correct answer is option B, persist and pollute ecosystems. Explanation: non-biodegradable substances like plastics persist in ecosystems without decomposing, causing pollution and harming wildlife and natural habitats. MQ 41. What are the two types of ecosystems based on their origin? Option A, natural and artificial. Option B, biotic and abiotic. Option C, renewable and non-renewable. Option D, sustainable and non-sustainable. The correct answer is option A, natural and artificial. Explanation: ecosystems are categorized as natural, e.g. forests, ponds, or artificial, e.g. aquariums, gardens, based on whether they occur naturally or are created and maintained by humans. MQ 42. Why is energy flow in an ecosystem unidirectional? Option A, energy returns to producers. Option B, energy cannot be reused. Option C, energy is consumed by decomposers. Option D, energy moves back to the sun. The correct answer is option B, energy cannot be reused. Explanation: energy flow is unidirectional because energy is lost as heat at each trophic level and cannot be recycled back to the original source, the sun. MCQ 43. What percentage of energy is typically transferred from one trophic level to the next? Option A, 50%. Option B, 25%. Option C, 10%. Option D, 90%. The correct answer is option C, 10%. Explanation: only about 10% of the energy at one trophic level is transferred to the next level, while the rest is lost as heat or used for metabolic processes. MCQ 44. Which process releases oxygen into the atmosphere? Option A, photosynthesis. Option B, respiration. Option C, decomposition. Option D, transpiration. The correct answer is option A, photosynthesis. Explanation: photosynthesis in green plants releases oxygen as a byproduct while converting carbon dioxide and water into glucose using sunlight. MCQ 45. How does waste disposal impact the environment? Option A, reduces soil fertility. Option B, leads to pollution. Option C, enhances food production. Option D, increases biodiversity. The correct answer is option B, leads to pollution. Explanation: improper waste disposal causes pollution in air, water, and soil, harming ecosystems, reducing fertility, and posing health risks to humans and animals. CQ 46. What is the major source of energy for producers? Option A. Option B, sunlight. Option C, nutrients. Option D, decomposers. The correct answer is option B, sunlight. Producers such as plants and algae use sunlight as their primary energy source to produce food through photosynthesis. What type of waste material persists in the environment and causes pollution? Option A, biodegradable. Option B, non-biodegradable. Option C, renewable. Option D, compostable. The correct answer is option B, non-biodegradable. Explanation: non-biodegradable waste like plastics and metals does not break down naturally, persisting in the environment and causing long-term pollution. What happens to pesticide residues as they move through trophic levels? Option A, they decrease. Option B, they remain constant. Option C, they magnify. Option D, they disappear. The correct answer is option C, they magnify. Explanation: pesticide residues accumulate and magnify at higher trophic levels, causing biological magnification, which is harmful to organisms like humans and predators. M49. What is a food web? Option A, a linear sequence of energy transfer. Option B, a branching network of food chains. Option C, a system with only producers. Option D, a method to recycle nutrients. The correct answer is option B, a branching network of food chains. Explanation: a food web shows the complex and interconnected feeding relationships in an ecosystem, unlike a food chain, which is a simple linear pathway. 50. How do biodegradable substances benefit the environment? Option A, persist in the environment. Option B, recycle nutrients. Option C, prevent energy flow. Option D, increase non-renewable waste. The correct answer is option B, recycle nutrients. Explanation: biodegradable substances decompose naturally, returning nutrients to the soil, improving fertility, and supporting plant growth in ecosystems. MCQ 51. What is the primary function of decomposers in an ecosystem? Option A, fix solar energy. Option B, break down organic matter. Option C, consume producers. Option D, store nutrients. The correct answer is option B, break down organic matter. Decomposers, such as bacteria and fungi, break down dead organisms and organic matter into simpler substances, recycling nutrients for use by producers. MB52. What is a major concern of using synthetic chemicals like pesticides? Option A, increases crop yields. Option B, reduces energy flow. Option C, causes biological magnification. Option D, improves soil fertility. The correct answer is option C, causes biological magnification. Explanation: pesticides accumulate in organisms at higher trophic levels through biological magnification, potentially harming ecosystems and human health. MCQ 53. How do autotrophs contribute to an ecosystem? Option A, by decomposing dead organisms. Option B, by producing food using sunlight. Option C, by consuming other organisms. Option D, by transferring energy to decomposers. The correct answer is option B, by producing food using sunlight. Explanation: autotrophs, like plants, produce food using sunlight through photosynthesis, forming the foundation of energy flow in ecosystems. 54. What is the term for interconnected food chains in an ecosystem? Option A, trophic network. Option B, energy cycle. Option C, food web. Option D, biotic chain. The correct answer is option C, food web. Explanation: a food web represents the interconnected feeding relationships between various organisms in an ecosystem, forming a complex network. EMS 55. Which of the following activities can reduce waste production? Option A, using disposable items. Option B, recycling materials. Option C, using more plastic. Option D, disposing waste in open areas. The correct answer is option B, recycling materials. Explanation. Recycling materials reduces the amount of waste generated by reusing resources, thus minimizing environmental pollution and conserving natural resources. MC 56. What is the main cause of biological magnification in ecosystems? Option A. Accumulation of energy. Option B. Accumulation of non-degradable chemicals. Option C. Increase in producer populations. Option D. Rapid decomposition. The correct answer is option B. Accumulation of non-degradable chemicals. Explanation. Non-degradable chemicals like pesticides accumulate in organisms at higher trophic levels, leading to biological magnification, which harms ecosystems. M57. Why are producers important in a food chain? Option A. They recycle nutrients. Option B. They fix solar energy into food. Option C. They decompose organic matter. Option D. They consume herbivores. The correct answer is option B. They fix solar energy into food. Explanation. Producers convert solar energy into chemical energy through photosynthesis, forming the primary source of energy for all organisms in the food chain. MC 58. What is the environmental impact of non-biodegradable waste? Option A. Breaks down easily. Option B. Persists and pollutes ecosystems. Option C. Increases soil fertility. Option D. Enhances producer growth. The correct answer is option B. Persists and pollutes ecosystems. Explanation. Non-biodegradable waste, like plastics, persists in ecosystems, causing long-term pollution and harming wildlife and natural habitats. 59. Why do food chains usually consist of only 3 to 4 trophic levels? Option A. Energy is abundant. Option B. Energy is lost at each level. Option C. Decomposers dominate. Option D. Producers are few. The correct answer is option B. Energy is lost at each level. Explanation. Significant energy loss occurs at each trophic level, leaving insufficient energy for organisms at higher levels, thereby limiting the length of food chains. 60. What type of ecosystem is a pond? Option A. Option B. Natural. Option C. Semi-natural. Option D. Artificial and natural. The correct answer is option B. Natural. Explanation. A pond is a natural ecosystem where biotic and abiotic components interact and sustain themselves without human intervention. MQ 61. What is the key feature of biodegradable substances? Option A. Can be decomposed by microorganisms. Option B. Persist in the environment. Option C. Cause pollution. Option D. Require high energy to decompose. The correct answer is option A. Can be decomposed by microorganisms. Explanation. Biodegradable substances, such as vegetable peels and paper, are broken down by microorganisms, returning nutrients to the environment and reducing pollution. MCQ 62. What role do herbivores play in a food chain? Option A. Consume producers. Option B. Break down organic matter. Option C. Capture sunlight. Option D. Decompose dead plants. The correct answer is option A. Consume producers. Explanation. Herbivores, or primary consumers, feed directly on producers, such as plants, transferring energy to the next trophic level in the food chain. M63. How does improper disposal of plastics affect the environment? Option A. Promotes soil fertility. Option B. Causes long-term pollution. Option C. Enhances aquatic ecosystems. Option D. Recycles nutrients. The correct answer is option B. Causes long-term pollution. Explanation. Plastics are non-biodegradable and persist in the environment, polluting soil, water, and air for decades and harming ecosystems. MCQ 64. Why do higher trophic levels receive less energy in a food chain? Option A. Energy is reused at each level. Option B. Energy is lost as heat. Option C. Energy is concentrated. Option D. Energy moves in a cycle. The correct answer is option B. Energy is lost as heat. Explanation. Energy is lost as heat during metabolic processes like movement and respiration, resulting in less energy available for higher trophic levels. MC65. Which of the following is an artificial ecosystem? Option A, aquarium. Option B, pond. Option C, forest. Option D, desert. The correct answer is option A, aquarium. Explanation. An aquarium is a human-made ecosystem that requires controlled conditions to sustain aquatic plants and animals. MCQ 66. What happens to the ozone layer when CFCs are released into the atmosphere? Option A, it thickens. Option B, it depletes. Option C, it regenerates. Option D, it breaks into oxygen molecules. The correct answer is option B, it depletes. Explanation. Chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs, release chlorine atoms that break down ozone molecules, causing depletion of the protective ozone layer. MCQ 67. What is the role of microorganisms in decomposing organic matter? Option A, they fix nitrogen. Option B, they recycle nutrients. Option C, they consume sunlight. Option D, they trap carbon dioxide. The correct answer is option B, they recycle nutrients. Explanation. Microorganisms, such as bacteria and fungi, decompose organic matter into simpler substances, recycling nutrients in the ecosystem. MCQ 8. Which trophic level in a food chain consists of carnivores? Option A, first. Option B, second. Option C, third. Option D, fourth. The correct answer is option C, third. Explanation. Carnivores occupy the third trophic level as they feed on herbivores, primary consumers, to obtain energy and nutrients. M69. How does energy transfer in a food chain affect its length? Option A, allows infinite levels. Option B, limits the number of levels. Option C, increases decomposer activity. D, reduces autotrophs. The correct answer is option B, limits the number of levels. Explanation. Energy loss at each trophic level limits the number of levels in a food chain, as there is insufficient energy to support additional levels. MCQ 70. Why are forests considered natural ecosystems? Option A, maintained by humans. Occur and sustain naturally. Option C, lack biodiversity. Option D, have artificial food webs. The correct answer is option B, occur and sustain naturally. Explanation. Forests are self-sustaining natural ecosystems where biotic and abiotic components interact without human intervention to maintain ecological balance. MCQ 71. What is a key difference between food chains and food webs? Option A, food chains are linear, food webs are interconnected. Option B, food webs are shorter. Option C, chains lack decomposers. Option D, food webs focus on a single species. The correct answer is option A. Food chains are linear, food webs are interconnected. Explanation. A food chain represents a linear flow of energy, while a food web shows the interconnected feeding relationships between organisms in an ecosystem. CQ 72. What happens to harmful chemicals absorbed by plants from polluted water? Option A, they degrade in the plant. Option B, they accumulate in food chains. Option C, they evaporate into the air. Option D, they are neutralized by producers. The correct answer is option B. They accumulate in food chains. Explanation. Harmful chemicals, like pesticides, absorbed by plants enter food chains and accumulate at higher trophic levels, causing biological magnification. What is an example of a producer in an aquatic ecosystem? Option A, fish. Option B, algae. Option C, shrimp. Option D, frog. The correct answer is option B, algae. Explanation. Algae are producers in aquatic ecosystems using sunlight to produce food through photosynthesis, forming the energy base for consumers. MCQ 74. How do decomposers contribute to nutrient recycling? Option A, by trapping sunlight. Option B, by breaking down dead matter. Option C, by consuming producers. Option D, by increasing soil erosion. The correct answer is option B, by breaking down dead matter. Explanation. Decomposers, like fungi and bacteria, break down organic matter into simpler substances, recycling nutrients into the soil for use by plants. MQ 75. What is biological magnification and why is it dangerous? Option A, increase in plant nutrients. Option B, accumulation of harmful substances. Option C, increase in ecosystem stability. Option D, reduction in herbivore populations. The correct answer is option B, accumulation of harmful substances. Explanation. Biological magnification is the buildup of harmful chemicals, such as pesticides, at higher trophic levels, which can harm organisms like humans and predators. MCQ 76. What percentage of sunlight do green plants capture in a terrestrial ecosystem? Option A, 5%. Option B, 1%. Option C, option D, 50%. The correct answer is option B, 1%. Explanation. Green plants capture about 1% of sunlight that falls on them, converting it into chemical energy through photosynthesis to support all trophic levels. MCQ 77. Why is the ozone layer important for life on Earth? Option A, prevents storms. Option B, absorbs harmful UV radiation. Option C, reduces temperature fluctuations. Option D, provides oxygen. The correct answer is option B, absorbs harmful UV radiation. Explanation. The ozone layer absorbs harmful ultraviolet rays from the sun while protecting living organisms from skin cancer, cataracts, and environmental damage. M78. What is the role of secondary consumers in a food chain? Option A, capture sunlight. Option B, feed on primary consumers. Option C, produce energy. Decompose dead matter. The correct answer is option B, feed on primary consumers. Explanation. Secondary consumers, such as small carnivores, feed on primary consumers, herbivores, transferring energy to the next trophic level. MC79. What is the result of excessive use of non-biodegradable plastics? Option A, increased soil fertility. Option B, pollution in ecosystems. Option C, enhanced producer activity. Option D, rapid nutrient cycling. The correct answer is option B, pollution in ecosystems. Explanation. Non-biodegradable plastics persist in the environment, polluting ecosystems and harming biodiversity due to their inability to decompose naturally. MQ80. What limits the number of trophic levels in a food chain? Option A, loss of energy at each level. Option B, abundance of producers. Option C, increased herbivore populations. Option D, reduction in decomposer activity. The correct answer is option A, loss of energy at each level. Explanation. The energy lost as heat at each trophic level limits the number of levels in a food chain, as insufficient energy remains to sustain more levels. MQ81. Which of the following is an example of a non-biodegradable material? Option A, paper. Option B, vegetable peels. Option C, plastic. Option D, cotton. The correct answer is option C, plastic. Explanation. Plastic is a non-biodegradable material that cannot decompose naturally. It persists in the environment for decades, causing pollution and harming ecosystems. What is the significance of decomposers in an ecosystem? Option A, store solar energy. Option B, break down dead organisms. Option C, consume herbivores. Increase soil erosion. The correct answer is option B, break down dead organisms. Explanation. Decomposers, such as bacteria and fungi, break down dead plants and animals, recycling nutrients back into the soil and maintaining ecosystem balance. MC83. What is the main source of harmful chemicals entering food chains? Option A, natural disasters. Option B, use of pesticides. Option C, photosynthesis. Option D, decomposition. The correct answer is option B, use of pesticides. Explanation. Harmful chemicals, such as pesticides, enter food chains through their use in agriculture, accumulating at higher trophic levels and causing biological magnification. MC4. How does the flow of energy differ from the flow of nutrients in an ecosystem? Option A, both are cyclic. Option B, energy flows unidirectionally. Option C, nutrients are lost at each step. Option D, energy flows back to the producers. The correct answer is option B, energy flows unidirectionally. Explanation. Energy flows in one direction, from producers to consumers and decomposers, while nutrients are recycled within the ecosystem. CQ 85. Why do producers form the base of all food chains? Option A, they consume herbivores. Option B, they convert solar energy to food. Option C, they decompose organic matter. Option D, they feed on carnivores. The correct answer is option B, they convert solar energy to food. Producers, like plants, convert solar energy into chemical energy through photosynthesis, forming the foundation of energy transfer in ecosystems. MCQ 86. What happens when non-biodegradable waste accumulates in the environment? Option A, it decomposes naturally. Option B, it causes pollution. Option C, it enhances soil quality. Option D, it disappears over time. The correct answer is option B, it causes pollution. Explanation. Non-biodegradable waste, such as plastics, accumulates in the environment, leading to soil, water, and air pollution and harming biodiversity. MC 87. What process is responsible for the reduction of energy at each trophic level? Option A, photosynthesis. Option B, heat loss during metabolic activities. Option C, nutrient recycling. Option D, increased producer activity. The correct answer is option B, heat loss during metabolic activities. Explanation. Energy is lost as heat during metabolic processes like movement, respiration, and reproduction, reducing the energy available at higher trophic levels. MC 88. How are harmful pesticides absorbed by plants? Option A, through photosynthesis. Option B, from polluted soil or water. Option C, through direct sunlight. Option D, by decomposing dead matter. The correct answer is option B, from polluted soil or water. Explanation. Plants absorb harmful pesticides from contaminated soil or water, introducing these chemicals into food chains and leading to their accumulation. MC 89. What type of ecosystem is self-sustaining without human intervention? Option A, artificial. Option B, natural. Option C, urban. Option D, industrial. The correct answer is option natural. Explanation. Natural ecosystems, such as forests and ponds, sustain themselves through natural interactions between biotic and abiotic components without human interference. MCQ 90. Why are trophic levels limited in ecosystems? Option A, due to excess producers. Option B, due to energy loss at each level. Option C, due to lack of decomposers. Option D, due to stable energy flow. The correct answer is option B, due to energy loss at each level. Explanation. Trophic levels are limited because energy decreases significantly at each level, leaving insufficient energy to sustain additional levels. MQ 91. What is the term for the position an organism occupies in a food chain? Option A, energy level. Option B, nutrient cycle. Option C, trophic level. Option D, biotic stage. The correct answer is option C, trophic level. Explanation. A trophic level is the position an organism occupies in a food chain, such as producers at the first level, herbivores at the second, and carnivores at higher levels. MCQ 92. Which of the following is not a feature of natural ecosystems? Option A, self-sustaining. Option B, requires human intervention. Option C, includes biotic and abiotic factors. Option D, maintains ecological balance. The correct answer is option B, requires human intervention. Explanation: natural ecosystems like forests sustain themselves without human intervention, unlike artificial ecosystems that rely on human maintenance. MCQ 93. What is the primary energy source for autotrophs? Option A, chemical energy. Option B, solar energy. Option C, heat energy. Option D, kinetic energy. The correct answer is option B, solar energy. Explanation: autotrophs, like green plants, use solar energy to produce food through photosynthesis, forming the energy base for all living organisms in an ecosystem. MCQ 94. What is the role of decomposers in maintaining soil fertility? Option A, they consume sunlight. Option B, they recycle nutrients. Option C, they absorb water. Option D, they trap carbon dioxide. The correct answer is option B, they recycle nutrients. Explanation: decomposers break down organic matter into simpler substances, returning essential nutrients to the soil and maintaining its fertility for plant growth. MCQ 95. How does energy flow in an ecosystem? Option A, circular. Option B, unidirectional. Option recycled. Option D, stored permanently. The correct answer is option B, unidirectional. Explanation: energy flow in an ecosystem is unidirectional, moving from producers to consumers and decomposers, with energy lost as heat at each trophic level. MCQ 96. What is a characteristic of artificial ecosystems? Option A, self-sustaining. Option B, requires human maintenance. Option C, includes multiple trophic levels. Option D, has no abiotic factors. The correct answer is option B, requires human maintenance. Explanation: artificial ecosystems like gardens and aquariums rely on human intervention for their maintenance, unlike natural ecosystems that are self-sustaining. MCQ 97. What is the consequence of ozone layer depletion? Option A, reduced carbon dioxide levels. Option B, increased UV radiation on Earth. Option C, increased oxygen production. Option D, reduced greenhouse effect. The correct answer is option B, increased UV radiation on Earth. Explanation: ozone layer depletion allows harmful ultraviolet radiation to reach Earth's surface, causing skin cancer, cataracts, and damage to ecosystems. MCQ 98. Which process is directly responsible for energy transfer in food chains? Option A, photosynthesis. Option B, respiration. Option C, feeding relationships. Option D, decomposition. The correct answer is option C, feeding relationships. Explanation: energy transfer in food chains occurs through feeding relationships, where energy moves from producers to consumers and decomposers. 99. How does biological magnification impact humans? Option A, reduces food production. Accumulates harmful chemicals. Option C, increases plant growth. Option D, decreases herbivore populations. The correct answer is option B, accumulates harmful chemicals. Explanation: biological magnification causes harmful chemicals, such as pesticides, to accumulate at higher trophic levels, posing serious health risks to humans. MCQ 100. Why are decomposers crucial for the environment? Option A, they produce energy. Option B, they recycle nutrients. Option C, they consume producers. Option D, they increase soil erosion. The correct answer is option B, they recycle nutrients. Explanation: decomposers recycle nutrients by breaking down dead organisms, ensuring the continued availability of nutrients for plants and maintaining ecosystem balance. Congratulations, you have successfully completed 100 MCQs on Our Environment with ExHub MCQs. This achievement is a testament to your dedication to learning and self-improvement. Understanding ecosystems, food chains, biological magnification, and energy flow is essential for both exams and real-life applications. Knowledge is power, and you've taken a big step toward mastering it. But remember, learning never stops. To continue growing, Subscribe to ExHub MCQs and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. If you found this session valuable, don't forget to like this video. It motivates us to create more helpful content for you. We would love to hear from you. Comment below on what you learned today or suggest topics you'd like us to cover in future videos. And don't keep this knowledge to yourself. Share this video with friends, classmates, and family so they can benefit too. Want to explore more? Check out our other MCQ videos and sharpen your knowledge across different subjects. Thank you for learning with ExHub MCQs.